Human rights. Imagine being told exactly what to do all day, every day. Having your life arranged for you without any options. You have to eat when you're told to. Put what clothes on you're told to. You're told when to have a good time and when not to. Any thought you have of your own will be dismissed like a naughty schoolchild. Any attempt at free thinking, individual creativity, or anything that makes you personally happy might be punished with even more restrictions. Imagine having sanctions imposed on you for merely having an independent opinion. Well, that's exactly what happened to Jesus. He was crucified for having his own opinion. And even if he wasn't the Son of God, who exactly was he harming by saying that he was? Although I've only published some theology that I've wrote, I've actually written quite a lot. It's actually really interesting to hear theology that is almost identical to the stuff I've written. I really can't stand bossy people. I don't hate them, but I can safely say that I'd rather not be in their company if they are planning on holding court all of the time. Often people that are bossy are actually very insecure, shifting their insecurities into correction so they don't feel so bad about themselves. I suppose you have to ask yourself this question. What right does someone have to correct you? What authority do they have? Often people that are drunk with power tend to eventually start telling everyone what to do because they can't stand criticism. People that have authority and people that have power can be wrong. Even people with great wisdom can be wrong. I ask thee, what of the minority? I am personally angered when the minority are both marginalised and mocked. I sometimes even consider myself as marginalised. Perhaps I've had too much of a hedonistic lifestyle, I don't know. Prisoners. Now, prisoners do have to adhere to strict rules. Last year I joined a group called Human Rights, and I now write to a gentleman on death row. He committed murder. I never imagined that I could be friends with the murderer. However, this particular gentleman killed 2 people over 25 years ago. He was abused as a child and got into the wrong crowd. Of course, he had to be punished by the law of the land, and he has been sentenced to death. He awaits to find out if he'll be killed next year. His letters don't have the voice of a killer. In fact, he seems very intelligent, and he's filled with remorse for his terrible past. Now, he did deserve correction. He needed to be marginalised for his crime. Does he deserve to die, though? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and all that? I really can't say. I'm not a judge. I do know that I will be saddened if he is killed. Dear Lord, help me to understand those that are bossy, that give out commands without authority. Help me be empathetic or sympathetic to those that have went through a terrible time, and to have the heart of Jesus in these matters. Today, as I go about my work, help me to be understanding. And if I do have to give instruction, allow me to do this with consideration and do so in kindness. Lord, help those that are attacked spiritually. Lift them to a place they cannot be attacked. Help those suffering in wars because of dictators, and allow those saddened by this to feel assured that you are the same Lord that has conquered many situations. In your precious name, I ask this. Amen. Today's reading is taken from Genesis, chapter 16. Sarai and Hagar. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, "Behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her." And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abram her husband as a wife. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me." But Abram said to Sarai, "Behold, your servant is in your power. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her." The angel of the Lord also said to her, "I will surely multiply your offspring, so they cannot be numbered for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are pregnant, and shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has listened to your affliction. He shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. And he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen." So she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are a God of seeing." For she said, "Truly, here, I have seen him who looks after me." Therefore the well was called Beer Lahai Roi. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son. And Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.